Hello and welcome to Your Questions Answered. I'm Orla Tobin, a Senior Director at Goodbody Private, and I'm delighted to be joined by our Goodbody Chief Economist, Dermot O'Leary, for the first instalment of Your Questions Answered. Hi Dermot, how are you?
I'm good, Orla. Thanks very much.
Good, thanks for joining us. For those joining us for the first time, Your Questions Answered is a quarterly video where we ask our followers 4 questions on LinkedIn, and we ask them to vote for the questions that they want answered the most, and I'm now going to ask Dermot the top 2. Are we good to go?
Let's go, yeah.
Okay, so the first question, and actually nearly half of the followers voted for this particular question, was, is there likely going to be rate cuts in the second half of the year?
Yeah, well, I suppose that question has probably changed over the last couple of months because at the end of last year, we would have been talking and the market would have been very enthused about what was happening in terms of inflation, in particular coming down in the US and the euro area. And that led to a situation where expectations for rate cuts became ingrained. At the start of the year in the US, there was about 6 cuts priced in for this year. In the euro area, somewhat similar at the start of this year. And really what's changed since the start of this year, and this would have been our expectation, to be fair, that those cuts have started to be priced out of the market. So now, when you look at the ECB, for instance, is 100 basis points of 4 cuts priced in relative to those 6 at the start of the year. There's less than 4 cuts priced in for the Fed. So, and the timing of the rate cuts have been pushed out by about 3 months as well. The reasons for that is because, twofold really. One is that inflation is not coming down in a straight line. Inflation, there's good news on the inflation front, there is disinflation happening. But we had a bit of a reminder that it's not going to be, the last mile is not going to be easy, let's say, from the CPI data in the US in the last month or so. And similar kind of messages coming out of the euro area as well. That's the first bit. And the second bit is central bankers have come out and tried to remind markets that, look, the job is not completely done. We've seen progress and there's signs that inflation is coming down because monetary policy and interest rates have been high for quite some time now. But it's not done yet, so don't get overly excited. Yeah. I think the overall message is that we will see rate cuts this year. Just not as many as the market would have expected at the start of this year. Interestingly, I would say, in relation to the impact on markets, the end of last year saw an enormous performance from equities. Really made 2023 a great year for equities rather than just a good year for equities. And despite the fact that impetus from rates has reversed in the first couple of months of this year, equity markets have continued to power ahead. And you know, Bernard would have been talking about that a lot over the last while. So I think it's coming. Q2 is probably about right. I think around the summer, I think we'll see the first rate cut from the ECB in June. They're watching for particularly wage inflation data. They'll get more of that by June, and they'll have their latest forecast by June as well. So our expectation is June for the first cut.
Okay, can't wait. So the second question that actually topped the poll was in relation to housing. So how likely is it that housing prices will increase in Q2? Okay,
well, I mean, forecasting house price on a quarterly basis is difficult. But if I just take the overall message that we're seeing, and this is an Irish question, course, yeah. What we're seeing in Ireland is that price growth is actually accelerating over the past couple of months. If you take the latest numbers that came out from the CSO just last week, and you annualise the numbers, annualised growth is running in double-digit territory, running around 15% or so, and it's pretty much across the country. Following on from our previous conversation around interest rates, it should be going the opposite way. Yeah. And this is surprising. It is going down in other parts of the world, but in Ireland it's been fairly resilient, and that's just a function of 2 things really. One is that the demand side has been exceptionally strong because of the population increase that we're seeing, and also the performance of the labour market. We've seen that in data that was just published last week from the CSO, that employment growth is still exceptionally strong, running at over 3%. Wage growth is running at over 4% across the economy. When you look at first-time buyer mortgage approvals, about 30,000 over the past 12 months or so, and they're fighting for a limited pool of properties. The demand side very, very strong. The supply side is improving, but not quickly enough to keep up with that demand side. So I think prices will grow this year. Our current expectations for low single-digit growth in prices, but based on the latest evidence, we might be a bit pessimistic on that.
I cannot let you go without mentioning all the noise in the Dáil last week. Could you comment on that, Dermot?
Okay, so just to fill people in about that, so we published a report on the housing market in relation to housing supply, called Who's Building in Ireland, the census of the Irish home building industry. It was picked up kind of extensively across the media and picked up in the Dáil by Richard Boyd Barrett from People Before Profit, who brought it up in a question session with the Taoiseach. So it's good that we're informing the policy debate.
Yeah.
Might not agree so much with the interpretation of it in that particular exchange, but nevertheless, I think it's an important feature of the market, looking at, if we need to get as a country to perhaps 50,000 plus in terms of home supply, who's going to do that? And the main message from the report, and I think you can see the summary on our website as well, the main message from the report is that scale in terms of Irish home building is still an issue.
Yeah.
That's going to be a challenge for Ireland to get to that 50,000 plus because of that. Are other reasons, but that's one more important feature as well.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering the questions today. Insightful as always. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us in Goodbody, and we'll see you in the next quarter.